Doop. Well, we are on YouTube Live, and your curly-haired host, that's me, David Matthew Wingfield Bethay Weiss. That's me. That's the combination of my legal name and my actual name at birth, which are two different names. Pretty weird. Okay, so who's here? I got two people waiting in the wings, and officially I'm not supposed to start for 2 minutes. And somebody has already fled, so that's not good. Who's here? Okay, I'm not going to waste any time. Let me get right to it. Let me pull up the shot that I think the last shot I worked on. Oh, that's not it. Sorry, guys. It'll probably be this one. Okay, strike two. Strike two. I won't. I guess we'll try this one just because why not? We're just going through them one by there it is. Okay. Hey, Tom. Voice is a little lower than usual. That's kind of strange. Yeah, my microphone hasn't changed. Well, I could switch to the headset. Is the voice level generally lower than you'd prefer? Because if it is, I can switch to the headset, and it's always going to give us better audio quality. So I'll leave that up to you to let me know if you think that's necessary. I'm good either way. Okay, so in our last session, by the way, we got up through doing ink and paint on this shot, by the way. Hey, Ross. We got up to doing ink and paint, and I told you guys that I was going to bake the color into the hand, which I did right there, the hand that pops up on the screen. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I'll say it again. Anybody who has an opinion about the overall sound volume, as I said, I mean, I can even show you. If I put this on, you're going to have a little bit less boxy audio, I expect. And let me just see here. We'll go to the properties on the audio device, and instead of going to microphone number 2 USB audio device, we will go to this. Check, check, check. Now that's the headset. It's probably a little louder, right? Okay, and so you guys chime in on which you prefer. I tend to like the shotgun, but honestly, at the end of the day, I don't care that much. Jumped up quite a bit. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'll lower it just a tiny bit to kind of split the difference. I'm going to lower it 1 dB, maybe 1.5 dB, something like that. Okay, so that should be a pretty good level. We'll go with that for now and skip the shotgun. Okay, so in the last session, I did allow myself a bit of a rant to you guys about letting your creativity come to bear with the tools you have. I've ranted about this before, but instead of looking for featureitis in your software or constantly trying new software and all this, why not learn to think? Of course, which that's a little bit snarky, but get creative with simple tools, especially simple tools that are robust. It must be said that while there are different capabilities and features in Krita going back many, many versions that tend to be unstable or a little shaky here and there, such as a good example would be transform masks. Transform masks in Krita are quite a useful addition to the program, but they also are a bit unstable. Okay? But one thing in Krita that is typically very stable and has been forever is layers. Okay? So what's a practical application of where you might use layers? And then we'll get to flatting here in just a minute. Great example of where you would use a layer operation, somewhat cleverly perhaps, would be in the case of Tobias. I think it was Tobias. I needed to lighten his actually no, I think let's use the hand. Okay, the hand is probably a better example. See, the problem with the hand is that the color is baked into the hand. Okay, because I really want to be kind of quick about it. And Once I got the hand colored in, hey Maria, um, once I got the hand colored in, I realized that while the character of the soldier has his ink on its own layer, well, the hand obviously doesn't. And so now you have the problem of, well, how do you lighten the ink lines to match the, because I drew all the ink lines in black, and then after the fact I wanted to lighten them up a little bit, which I routinely do. But if the color's baked in, the problem becomes, and let's turn off his other layers. The problem becomes if you use a curves operation, Control M, and you try to lower the low levels on the lines, of course you're going to raise the value of all the other colors too. So this is a good example where a layer operation is not only going to be a lot easier, but it's going to be a super stable solution to the problem. And the solution was just create a layer like this that's like a charcoal color. It's a little lighter than black, but it's basically only lighter than the outlines. It's darker than everything else in his hand, but it's lighter than the black lines. Okay, and then you just add that to the layer, or to the group. As you can see it changing right there, you just add it in lighten mode. So this gray charcoal layer is only going to act on the darkest parts of the shot, which are the lines. So that's an example of using a layer operation. Very, very simple. And then it's also alpha locked. If you didn't alpha lock it, of course, you'd see the charcoal color everywhere. So it's locked to the color inside the hand. So that's an example of where using layers can really kind of sort of pay off. Okay, with that, let's get to flatting. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about flatting, what the benefit of it is. I think there's a lot of reasons people do flatting, but for me, generally, it's like if you're wanting to like spit out an animatic and get a beat on what your shot's going to look like, without necessarily having to finish out all the color, it can be useful to do what's called flatting, which is to just fill your character completely with a single, usually a mid-tone gray color. Okay, so now I'm going to turn off everything but Tobias in this shot. And then in Tobias, I'm going to kind of roll back the clock here and get rid of the color. Let me see what this is. That would be my ink lines. So actually, yes. As a matter of fact, I was correct. With Tobias, I actually did the exact same thing. Look at this. See that? I actually used a layer operation to lighten his ink lines as well. So I'm going to call this group ink. But I want to emphasize that about Krita. If you want to work in Krita and know that you're not going to get a lot of crashes and keep things stable, I want to say that Krita is extremely forgiving of having lots of layers. It's really stable and good with layers and groups, groups inside of groups. You know, Tobias is a group, but the ink is also a group because I needed to make this edit to it. Again, I could have used the curve tool. I could have used a multi-frame curve operation, or I could have used a filter mask. So as I said, I think yesterday, there's many ways to do whatever it is you want to do. Now, what Tom's bringing up, I'll go ahead and just cover it briefly because it's been mentioned a couple times. It's not what I'm talking about with flatting at all, but this is something that more than one person has mentioned. Is if you go to his color layer, if you wanted to sort of intelligently break this all up into individual layers so that you have more control over the color, I believe, let me look if is it a filter? I do not believe it's a filter. I believe it is image. I've got to find it because I never use this feature, but I think it's separate image. The source is the current layer. Discard the alpha channel. I'm going to just do this just to see what happens. Okay, so that broke it into channels. Blue, green, and red, actually. Okay, so that's not what I wanted. that is not what I wanted. But that can be useful in some cases too to give you more control. Is it image split? Okay, thank you. Image, and we're looking for image split. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Horizontal lines, vertical lines. I do not want to autosave. What is split? That looks like it breaks it up into quadrants or something. Yeah, that's not it. Image, what is it? Is it, we'll find it here, friends. It's not image split and it's not separate image. This is a tough thing when you've got split layer, split into layers. Put all new layers in a group layer. That's a good idea. Yeah, let's give that a try. Okay, that looks kind of interesting. So I think it looks like you can, when you do that, you can sort of dial in the sensitivity of it, so it's going to be either more or less aggressive in terms of how it breaks your layer up into different colors. So you get the idea. You guys can play with that on your own. It's something, again, that I don't use very often, because normally if I really wanted that much control over my color, right out of the gate, I would just put the different colors on different layers. But what I was going to talk about is flatting. So for that reason, let me turn the color off. Now again, my rant was, Krita 5.1 has a feature which I have not tested that is a variation of the fill tool that lets you draw a lasso around this character, and it would just fill the character, assuming he doesn't have any leaks. Okay? That's useful. But again, my rant was, well, why are you going to do that when, if you get creative with the tools that are already robust and have been in the program for a long time, you know, maybe there's a way to do it. Now, there was a period, there was a session a few months ago where I asked Ed Tadeo how he did it, because he was here on the live stream, and I had noticed in one of his speed paints, it all went by so fast that you couldn't see what he was doing. And I told him, I said, it went by really too fast, but it looked to me like this is what you did. Is this what you did? And he said, yes, this is what I did. Well, here's what Ed does. So there's two ways to do it. One, the Ed Tadeo way is this. You've got your character, you got your ink lines, and you want to do flatting. Okay, so what you do is you add a layer that's going to be like a color layer. So I'll put that under here, and we'll call this the flat layer. So we're going to do all the flatting on a single layer, but the way Ed does it is like this. He uses a contiguous selection tool, which is basically what we often call the magic wand. He goes click, and then he immediately, and by the way, in my case, it looks to me like the feathering on this is probably going to be egregious. So you probably want to roll that back. But what you're doing is you're selecting everything that isn't your character, right? And then, if you have a hotkey, it makes it a little quicker. But once you have select everything that's not your character, then you just invert the selection, okay? So now, the main problem with that is that you would still theoretically have to do some fill operations. Click, 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 click. Okay, and I'm going to turn the shadows off so they're not changing how things look. Okay, so if I was going to do it, I would not use the fill tool. What I would do is I would use the freehand path tool. Okay, so let's turn those shadows back off. So what I would do is I would, the operations are the following. I'm going to unselect everything and show you guys. Okay, so I'm going to go magic wand, Control Shift I, and then with the G key, I'm just going to go. I'm just going to draw a lasso, and there you go. So everything inside the selection gets colored, right? And then I can go, obviously, I can put in a keyframe, go to the next, keyframe, and I'm just looking here at the, I want to make sure I put this in the right spot. Okay, Krita's insisting on believing that I want to select the whole column, which I don't. Okay, so then we'll just do the same thing here. We'll insert a keyframe, and insert a keyframe here. Okay, So, and by the way that I'm going to show you to do this next is, in my opinion, better, because this is a little hard to see whether it worked or not. And in this case, this is actually a great example because it didn't work. Okay, what happened? Well, I clicked outside of my character, but if you're paying attention, if you see any marching ants inside your character like this, see that? It's probably hard to see, but the marching ants are inside the character. So what does that tell you? Well, that tells you you must have a leak. Because if you didn't have a leak, the marching ants would only be around the perimeter of the character. Hey, Chiziapo. Okay, so if you're doing it the Ed Tadeo way, you're going to go, okay, Control Shift A to unselect everything, turn on your paintbrush, and you're probably going to want to close up your leaks. And obviously it would probably be better to close up your leaks on your ink layer. I'm not doing that. I'm putting it on the flatting layer because I'm just putting all the, because this is a shot that's already done and complete. So what I'm doing right now, I'm going to be throwing away. Okay, magic wand, click. Did it work? There we go. Control Shift I, and then again G key, which is for me the freehand path tool. Just draw a lasso and boom, that's how you do your flatting. Okay, so that's one way to do flatting. Do a selection outside your character, invert it, and then just draw a lasso of color, and it will only go inside your character. Okay, so that's the first way. I would say that's probably not the preferred way for me. I would probably not do it that way. How would I do it? Well, what I would do is I'm going to go ahead and delete all my keyframes here. I'm going to go Control Shift X, which for me is a hotkey to get rid of keyframes. And I would call this the flat layer. And what I would do is I would actually, on frame 1, I would just fill that layer. Okay? And then what I would do is I would put a layer above my ink layer and just pick any color, doesn't matter. And I would then fill that outside my character. Now, boom, I know I've got a leak. Okay, but watch how this works. So I'm going to go ahead and close my leaks. Okay, and then fill it again. And now here's the trick. This layer you put below gives you your color, and the layer that you put above, put it in erase mode. Ta-da! And so now you've accomplished the same thing. You've done flatting on your character. There is a caveat here, and the caveat is that it looks like the fill, this kind of gets back to what we were talking about yesterday actually, is with a 1 pixel grow and a 1 pixel feathering, this is actually a little bit too aggressive. For a flatting operation, it's probably fine, right? Because you just kind of want to see what you've got, but you are losing a little bit of your outlines, okay? So now the layer underneath doesn't need to have keyframes. So in this case, what I would do is I would now go to the next 1, 2, 3 frames, and I would go fill, and you see how I lost his hair there? If you lose his hair, you know you got a leak. So there we go, boom. All right, so now this is pretty quick. Fill, fill, fill. Okay, so this one didn't work, and so obviously the solution here, I don't need to hit undo. I can just hit insert, and that deletes the keyframe. It blanks out that frame. So now I can go in and see where my leak was. B key. I think it's that right there. Okay, and so fill. Yep, there we go. So for me, that's more robust because you've got the it's really quick to do the actual flatting operation because all you have to do is click, click, click. If you have no leaks, it's super fast. Whereas using selections is like at least twice as slow because you have to do a selection, look real close to make sure you got just the perimeter, and then invert it, and then draw a lasso. With this technique in erase mode, you just go click, click, click from frame to frame, and just there you go, you're done. Okay, so this makes sense? Probably doesn't matter losing the outline with that very dark back, but a light background would be noticeable. Correct. And now the other thing about this from the standpoint of the utility of flatting is because your background color is not actually baked into the ink layer, if you decide that your flatting color is a little too light or a little too dark, you can just do a single operation on it, and there are no keyframes, so it's just gonna change the color for everything. So that's a very kind of procedural approach to it. And then when you're sick of using your flatting, you just turn these layers back off. You either keep them around or not. Just depends on what you're doing. Okay, so now from a standpoint of color, this I'd have to think a little bit about. Let's put the flat. I'm kind of thinking out loud now here, guys. So bear with me. Okay, if it's not. Oops, I'm sorry. If the flat layer is not in the group, then you're going to have a problem. So it needs to be in the group, but it also needs to be, in our case, under the color. So now when we turn the color back on, we're good to go. We got the flat here and the color above it, right? So now what I'm not super familiar with is all the reasons why you would want to do flatting in the first place from the standpoint of somehow maybe making the coloring process easier. There may be some reasons why it's like a good idea, but I'm just not sure. I'm looking at the obviously green hair is kind of stupid, but I want to look at now if we turn this erase layer off. Yeah, I mean we got nice clean fills, yada yada yada. So anyway, there you go. Two different ways to do flatting, both of which are very effective. The second one is really fast and does not require new tools in Krita. In fact, this is the way I just did it goes back to probably version 3. You know, it's been a completely valid approach for a long, long time. So, okay, so not too much going on in the chat. Mikhail asked Damar why he stopped going live. The other issue with filling colors in that way, it requires you to do inking without aliased lines. Additionally, for your inks to be clean in order for his method to work. Yeah, I mean you're talking about if you use the selection method, if you're using selections and then inverting them the way Ed does. I think that we talked yesterday about the benefits of non-anti-aliased ink lines. If you go back in the annals of anime, you can find examples of it on YouTube of productions that were being done, you know, back in like 2004 or something, where the way they would do ink lines was kind of like using the Bezier tool here in Krita, where you're like click, 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 except it would be more like the poly arc tool in Tahoma, where you go click, click, and then you drag, and it actually draws the curvature. But in the video I'm thinking of, if you look closely, you can see that they're using that the lines are anti-alias, so they are 2 pixels wide, and by being 2 pixels wide, that gives you the guarantee that you're not going to get a fill shape that's effectively like this on a diagonal. Which then the problem is, I said a fill shape, I meant an ink line. But if your ink line is on a pure diagonal and it's only 1 pixel thick, then your software will see this border between the two on the corners as a leak, and you won't be able to close it. So you have to have a 2 pixel wide ink line to make that fly. Anti-aliased, or I'm sorry, actually aliased ink lines. Okay, so that's that. So Tom did some testing yesterday. I was following your guidance in the Krita manual. It has links to several tutorials too. I haven't seen them yet. I'm trying to determine what approach to go if I'm going to continue. Oh, you're talking about your live streaming. Okay. So I'm looking at the comments with Tom. I did some testing. I'm not sure what you're talking about testing. The selection method in Clip Studio Paint uses reference layers, so doing clipping masks are faster for me. Okay. You'll have to post a video showing how you use that in Clip Studio Paint. You posted a test to my Discord. Brush for thin lines and a method to get. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I mean that's kind of interesting. I'll take a look at that. I'm gonna take a look at it right now, actually, Discord, and just kind of see what Tom's talking about, and if it is meritorious, I will. And I assume you put that in the Krita folder. Yes. The testing you did. So Amar, okay guys, just for everyone else's enrichment, Amar did us all the service of posting in the Discord the Krita 5.1 features. I have watched this video, and again, at this point, the features in Krita 5.1 are not compelling for me. But Tom says, referencing my comment on the live stream, the testing I did. Okay, so I'm looking at what you got here, Tom. I'm not sure what I'm looking at as it relates to getting clean fills on a 1 pixel line. Is that what you're showing here or not? Because I don't understand exactly the significance of what I'm seeing. So, here we go. I have a brush for thin lines and a method to get clean fills. Same method works in Krita. Ed uses this. The bottom 2 circles, one orange and one magenta, got it. The others are various tests. Okay, so these two have a 1 pixel line. I mean, for me, if you're doing fill operations, the most robust methodology is always to allow yourself what I do, you know, a 1 pixel expansion and a 1 pixel softening. Sometimes 2 pixels, but generally 1 works fine. If it's on a separate layer, it's going to be clean because it's going to bleed underneath your ink lines, you know. So anyway, that's that. And with that, friends, the question becomes, what the heck are we doing today? I've covered the flatting thing. And so now I need to look at my script. The soldier salutes and withdraws. That's what we did yesterday. I'm gonna jump over here so you guys can actually see the shot. You guys never saw the finished shot because I slapped the hand in like last night real quick before I crashed. So the last few days, I would say things are looking pretty good. I do like the way things are looking. And Vespar is sulking. And Tobias excuses the soldier and tells him, hey, we'll regroup in the morning. I want to check one thing. It could be that his mouth might be too dark. Yep, it's black. I gotta fix that right now. Fixie poo. Okay, so is that it? Yeah. Let's go to the mouth layer for Tobias. And usually with a mouth, I'm gonna... Okay, in this case we have a bit of a problem. And the problem is that there is a mouth underneath in the drawing. So therefore, obviously we could change that. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go Control M, and instead of making it a little bit transparent, I'm going to go ahead and lighten it about like that. And with the mouth, I think I'm probably pretty safe to do multi-frame. Whoops, come on now. Krita. Alright, so I'm going to select all those, go Control M, just do what I just did, and then select multi-frame. There's two ways you can do it. You can do multi-frame, which means any frames that are selected will have the effect, which in this case is curves, applied to them. If you don't want to do that, if you want a more procedural approach, you can unclick multi-frame and click Create Filter Mask. Creating Filter Mask will actually apply a filter to it, and that gives you one advantage. If you weren't completely certain of what you're trying to do, it gives you the ability to go into the properties and you can actually make changes, um, you know, procedurally. Okay, so with that, I'm going to save this scene, render that sucker out again back into the show, and we've solved our little problem, and we can get on with the next shot. So Vespar glances at the leaving soldier and then away again, sullen. He doesn't look at Tobias. Okay, so for me, that means actually we want to be cognizant of the possibility of just running this shot in reverse. Honestly, it almost looks like he's breathing in and out. So I'm doing it. I'm going to go ahead and let's jump over to the other screen so you guys can see what the heck I'm talking about. I'm going to jump over here. Okay, you know, you don't always want to do this, and you certainly can't always get away with it. But in this case, I'm actually thinking I can take and click, control drag this shot over here, and then reverse it. So again, not trying to chimp out too much on work, but why am I going to redo something that's already been done that works? Okay, so the idea here is to get this and then take this, make a copy of it, and unreverse it. Wait a minute, I just saw a bunch of, oh, okay, this is a little too early. Okay. Okay, that's fine. That's all we needed. We just needed Vespar to sort of convey his displeasure. If later on, when it's editing time and we're laying in the soundtrack and everything, I may say, you know what, since we reuse this over here, I may actually make the editorial command decision to stop right there so that he's actually looking. But for now, I'm going to leave it in. And so the basic flow, as you can see, is we'll regroup in the morning, sir. Yeah, I love it. Actually looks fine. Okay, so now, so Vespar glances at the leaving soldier, then away again, sullen. He doesn't look at Tobias. So now the next shot is Vespar. And so we need to give this a little bit of thought. Okay, because, and I'm going to switch back to my other screen, because yeah, I'm inclined to bring Tobias into the shot. So if we go here to the edit, the likely suspect, if we're going to get some reuse, okay, the intelligent anime creator would definitely do this. So you're going to pull up shot number 3-03, and the idea would be to reframe it slightly with Tobias in the shot, put Vespar in silhouette in the foreground, which makes the animation really efficient. And then all he's going to do is shift weight and turn towards Tobias and then say his line of dialogue, which is, managing troops is just slowing us down. And then we'll cut back to Vespar, probably in a close-up, where he says we need a better plan. Okay, and then it turns into just dialogue between Vespar and Tobias. Okay, making sense? All right, I'm going to take half a second here and just look and see if there's anything interesting going on in the chat. Oh, Amar's going to get back to streaming, man. I have my first real anime idea for an animation project. Oh, that's kind of cool. I know. I have a problem with ideas constantly popping in my head. You know, so do I. I mean, I can totally relate to it, but the thing is, you want to be open to allowing your creative muse to flow, and so it's okay to have 10 million ideas, and it's okay to Um, let's qualify it this way. So I'm speaking from the Zen perspective of some kind of coach or something. I would say this: if you've proven that you have some skill and you know your tools reasonably well, and you've proven that you have a work ethic, then the Zen coach says, you know what? If you want to explore all these different ideas, um, do it, enjoy it, have a good time, um, because you are a creative guy, and you don't want to ever feel like you need to stifle that. Um, the caveat is, at some point, you probably want to settle on something, and actually see it through, right? So there's a balance to these things. But anyway, let's go. Let's just kill everything so that I'm starting clean here. And what I need to do is open up 0303. Okay, so let's go episode 3. Oh, wait, I was already there. What do you know? Okay, so now what we're going to do for this shot is we're going to take this group and remove it. We're going to take this group and remove it. And Tobias, let me see. He's just going to be standing there. So these are all Tobias layers? Yes. Okay, so what we're going to do with Tobias is take all of these and move them back to here. Because for this shot, that's where we're going to start. So all of this can be deleted. So that's really our starting point for this shot. Now, having said that, okay, so the foliage is baked in. So I'm thinking I want to frame him closer. I'm going to go ahead and assume that I'm probably safe to do so. I'm going to lose a little resolution on the guy. Okay, like so. And then I'm going to shift him over on the rule of thirds. I don't even think I'm going to change the background, actually. And in this case, I'm going to have to make some judgment here. The foliage, if we take the foliage out, yeah, let's take the foliage out. Okay, so there's more than one way to skin that cat as far as whooping Tobias into shape here. I think what I'm going to do is on this group, I'm going to actually kind of do the Tahoma thing. I'm going to see if this works. It may not work, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to go Control C, Control V. And then I'm going to hit the transform tool, flip this. We're just trying it. It may not work, but I'm just saying, can I actually just kind of create a mirrored arm here like that? Okay, and then we're just trying to reuse stuff. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that paint layer, because I don't want to be doing a whole bunch of undoing. So what I'm going to do is actually put that left arm in a group, and then add a layer above it that is in erase mode. And that way, makes it pretty easy, because I can actually just go ahead and paint into this layer and just find it. We'll just find it. Okay, and then I can go into erase mode and correct it, like so. That's pretty easy. It looks like we're probably going to have to add back in a bit of shadowing, but let's face it, that pretty much gets us to where we want to be. So the only, again, caveat being that we got a little problem right here. Well, there's more than one way to do it. We could go into all the individual ink layers and all that and tweak things, but why bother? Let's do it this way. Let's just add a layer like I just did in erase mode and just go like that. Easy peasy. And now up here, I'm going to sample this color and just paint into it. We're just gonna hand tool some shadows. If we go into see, there's the shadow color. So if we go into honestly add another layer above that's alpha locked. Look at that. See how easy that was? Now we just lost an ink line there, so there's that to consider. But and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this layer, just, I'm not sure if this is the right choice, but I'm thinking I'm going to put it in darken mode. Yeah, there we go. So all it did was darken the flesh tone, and it didn't affect anything else. Smoking, huh? I mean, that was stupidly easy. You know, and you could maybe argue he's kind of standing there kind of stiffly. That's true. We're going to be coming into a shot here pretty soon where we're going to have to redraw him. But in this case, if we can get the reuse, you know, why the heck not? Okay. So another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the A key, and I'm going to go into liquify on the entire Tobias group. And I'm just going to put, well, okay, I don't want to do that. I'm sorry. What I really probably need to do, I'm going to make the bold choice of merging this group and then putting this group in here. Oh, that doesn't work. Sorry. Okay, so we'll call this left arm. This is what can happen, is if you have these sort of layer dependencies and stuff, you can introduce problems. So what I'm going to do is, this is going to look kind of weird, and it's definitely a kludge, but it'll work. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually grab this side of his body right here, Control C, Control V, and I'm actually going to put that in another layer on top of everything else. And the reason I'm doing it is so that I can then just use the liquify tool to push this edge over a little bit. I want to cover up that arm just a little bit. Okay? So now let me solo that layer, and you can see the problem. It's not a big problem though. Let's hit the B key, E key, so we're erasing, and let's just take out the flaw. And now we're actually in a place where we've got a reasonably decent looking rendition of Tobias that looks a little less awkward. I'm going to hit the B key and kind of spitball or eyeball my ink color so that I can, that's not actually dark enough, so I can just ease a little bit of anatomy back into the picture. Okay, so now what we need to do is file, save as, and this is going to be, what is this going to be? This is going to probably be 9. Yes, we did 3.8, then we reused 3.7, so this is going to be 3.9. Groovy. All right, so this will be episode 3, new folder 03-09. Inside of that, we're going to put 03-09 and 72 frames. I'm going to go with it. Yeah, that's fine. So we're going to go Control R, and this is going to be 0309, and the location is going to be 0309. And so now we're going to render it so we can actually cut it into the show, and then we'll make the additions and changes to the shot, putting Vespar in it, and we'll be good to go as far as being able to see how it looks. Okay, Amar's been saying quite a bit here on the chat. So you've got your anime idea. Share the rough character designs on Discord. Cool. Don't know if you saw this, so I'm reposting. Also, I shared via direct message the fan animation I work on. I don't think you've seen it yet since there was no response. I didn't. I haven't even, until I posted this, I was going to live stream. I don't think I've even, I haven't looked at Discord today. So I'm going to go ahead and look at that, guys. If you don't mind, I'm going to take half a second and see what Amar's talking about, because if it's important enough to bring up here, then obviously he wants us to take a look, or me maybe. But so there's Amar. Here we go. This is the animatic rough animation I started yesterday and worked on this morning. Okay, Amar, question: do you want me to show this here? Put something in the chat whether you want me to show it or not. Oh, I see what you're doing. You're okay. Yeah, this is a fan animation. Okay, so that's very that's rather gratifying. All right, so let's do this. This is an MP4, so bear with me, folks, while I save this. I believe I have a Salt and Light folder that is probably under drawings. I remember I created it, fan art. So I'm going to save that so that we can pop it up here. Okay, yeah, so Amar had said something about doing a fan animation several days ago. And I told him, dude, you know, just pick whatever you want. Okay, so now here's my question. This is where we're going to actually make this useful, guys, okay? Gosh, if I had a Patreon situation with premium levels of membership or something, what I'm doing right now would make sense. But I'm just going to do it. So my question is this. Amar, let's start with you. You tell me. You say you've cleaned it up since then, but so let's just focus on the drawing and the animation. You tell me what is good and what is bad. Let's keep it completely clinical. There's no judgment. This is obviously a laudable effort, but I want to know from your perspective, what is it about this that's really, really great or really working, and what's not, or what might be problematic about it. So, and we need to start there because your opinion about that reveals where you're at as an animator. You know, it reveals what you're aware of. And I say we want to be clinical about something like this because the reason your opinion matters so much is that there may be things that I think are deficient in this, for example. But you cannot be impugned for that which you do not yet know. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, the starting point to have any kind of discussion about what's working and what's not is what do you think? Because I know you have an opinion. Okay, so I'm not seeing anything coming up in the chat about this. Let me roll it again, and I'm going to start to think the same thing. So are you guys okay with this? Are you guys okay with taking a little bit of time to look at what Amar did and collectively let's look at it. Let's look at what we can learn from it. Yada 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 yada. Right? Okay, and I'm going to turn the sound off so we can just focus on the movement. You guys have heard the audio enough that you know what he's saying. You have to pay attention. Okay? So Amar says, I'm using the same framing, which I agree, but you're using a different manner of expressing. Okay, and by the way, I'm going to pull up the original so people can see. I actually happen to already have it open in. So I want people to see the contrast. This isn't about. It isn't about being better or anything like that. This is about letting people know what we're comparing with here, right? Okay, so I'm gonna zoom in here and try to find the exact. Oh wait, this was later. This was after he smashes the. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here's what Amar's working from. All right? That's it. Okay? So obviously the original that he's working from is very understated. Okay, so my choice was to move Asher's arm and give Mel a shrug. And for the most part, you know, you're talking about static characters. So let's go back to what Amar did. Obviously, a much more animated version of it. Okay, so Different manner of expressing. Right. Okay, the dialogue. Okay. I can only... Okay, Maria's got to split soon. I upload the clip as well. It's the first 3 seconds where Asher's talking before Mel shrugs. Right, I got that. Okay, so now, you know, you haven't answered my actual question yet. My question is, in your view, obviously it's a different manner of expressing. What's good, what's bad, what's working, what's not working? There are many things one could look at. You could look at the drawing and the characterization. You could look at the acting. You could look at the timing. Okay, going back to the original. And I'm going to, let's see here. I'm going to mute the audio here, by the way, so that we're not hearing the audio. I don't want to hear the audio. I just want to look at the motion. Okay, so the drawings are not complete. It's roughed out. The cleaned up version you can see better. Is that already on the Discord? Oh, look, you said you were going to... But that's okay. I mean, obviously, when something is in a pencil test stage, a lot can be judged about it. A lot can be learned. And so you direct messaged it. Okay, let me look again, because I looked a moment ago and I did not see it. So bear with us, friends. I want to get the alternate or more advanced version of this, but if it's, oh, there it is. Okay. Okay. Let's download this. And I'm actually going to switch to this. And okay. So here, I guess we need to stop this and turn this off because, oh, okay, this was not working because it was looping, so I wasn't able to shut it off. Okay, so I'm going to kill this, and let's look at the update. Okay, I mean, I would say this looks principally the same to me. Obviously, it's inked, you know, but okay. So now I'm just go ahead and okay. So for me, he says the animation is more expressive, which is helpful from my perspective. Okay. Okay, and then I think for my taste, I could have pushed the expressions more. I would say that the we're gonna assume that the curved lines on the table and the rubber hose curvature in the anatomy is not a flaw. That's an aesthetic choice. So we're assuming what Amar's doing here is he's deliberately doing a little bit more of a rubber hose type animation. Not a problem. That's fine. That's a choice. So you only cleaned up Asher. So I would say for me, I'll keep my critique very short. I would say that the challenge of this is that you're almost trying to put too many changes of expression into too short a space, so that as the viewers, it's really the opposite extreme to what I did, because what I did was stupidly simple, obviously. So in other words, let me put it to you this way. This would be my critique. There you land, and here you've got 1, 2, 3, especially this. You could say there's 2, so this lands with that. You know, you land down, and then you go into this folding of the arms. I would say pick one or the other. It would be because you're trying to pack too many changes into too short a space. I would also probably stand by my choice on Melchizedek. You did a better job of animating the shrug. Okay, so the only thing Mel does in my animation is shrug, right? So you did a nice job on animating that shrug. I think that expressiveness is nice. So we're not talking about the characterization, and we're not talking about the rubber hoses, because I'm looking at those as just choices where you decided to draw them differently. So the question for us as viewers is, does it have integrity within what you chose to do? Okay, so we're not really comparing it with my characters. I would say Mel is pretty good, but anything he does like this, all this stuff that you see, while Asher's talking, I would say you've wasted your effort, because your audience cannot digest everything he's doing and everything he's doing. It really needs to be a sequence. So you have to like decide what you're going to look at. So I would say the movement's probably fine if you're into like that rubber hose thing. But I would say if you took this right here for what you're trying to do, which is very much a retro, this is like a 1920s style rubber hose animation thing, right? This pose right here is really your best pose. It really captures the sheepishness. So if Mel did not move and then get him into the shrug, you really don't need this transition either, actually. That shift to there and then hold really doesn't do anything. Unless you're going to argue that he's sort of shrinking back from Asher. So you could maybe argue that. But I'm going to say if you were here and then once Asher's done, you slammed him into the shrug and then stopped there, that would be a really nice, clean, clear expression initially and animation secondarily on Melchizedek. Asher, for him to turn, why is he going to turn to the audience and then away again? That seems a little, feels like you wanted to make things move. And the problem with that is if you make things move, you want to have a reason for it. So for me, the initial pose is fine. Getting him to here would be good. And if Mel had his shrugging reaction, this would actually make more sense. If Mel had his shrugging reaction of this, and then as a final kind of a callous button that Asher puts on it as the parent figure, if he, after Mel shrugged, then went like this disapprovingly, that would make more sense to me from a storytelling standpoint. Okay? So that's my critique. It's a nice effort. You didn't use any rubber hose. Well, I mean, you might as well claim it, buddy, because you've got the arms bending all over the place. Right? So if you're going to say that you're trying to draw, I see what you're doing. You're using the rubber hose here. You're trying to get like a squash and stretch type recoil effect going on. I get what you're trying to do. It really doesn't work. It really doesn't work at, I assume this is also 8 frames per second, which is what I usually do. That's going to be a hard one to pull off at 8 frames per second. If you played it fast, it might actually, hang on a second. Let me see if we can actually speed this up. Playback, speed. Let's go faster. Let's see what happens when we go faster. Yeah, so you can get away with the rubber hose style squash and stretchy sort of thing. The execution's a little deficient because he wiggles, but he never lands. I mean, for me, this is when I've been directing actors on the set. This is for actors who are less experienced. This is going to be the thing that they're going to get in trouble for more than anything else. Is they never stop. It's the idea that I'm going to hold up my pen to you, but then I'm also going to show it to these people over here. Okay, the bad actor will go like this. And then they'll go ahead and take the pen down and say a line of dialogue. Whereas the good actor will go like this, they'll go like this, and then they'll snap over to here, and they're going to get that hold in there to make sure people can digest it. Because any action you do that isn't held at least long enough to know that it happened, you basically wasted that effort, actually, from an acting standpoint. So, cool stuff. All right, let's get back to work here. So now what we really have here is a fairly complex Tobias group. So I'm going to put everything in a group and call it Tobias. And now what we're going to do is create a new layer that's going to be Vespar Sil for silhouette. See you, Maria. All right. Since Asher is scolding him, I was shrinking Mel down to emphasize the scolding. Yep. Okay, I got there. Boop-a-doop-a-doop-doop. Okay, cool. All right. So what we're going to do here is probably tint it on the green side. But what I'm going to do is I already rendered this. So I'm going to re-render it just to make sure, because I don't remember if I definitely rendered it. I am going to go back to the show. I'm going to actually close episode 1 and not save my work. Go back to here, and what I need to do is, I guess I'll show this. We need to go ahead and put this into the show. So this is going to be scene 309, 72 frames. It's obviously going to be stupidly long, considering that it's just a static held image at this point. Okay? So now we have the ability to get Vespar into the shot. And probably it's going to be right about to here, I think. So it's not really an insignificant shot from a length standpoint. 5 seconds. It's probably about right. Because in the script, Vespar says, "Managing troops is just slowing us down." Well, actually, in his voice, it would be, "Managing troops is just slowing us down." Okay, so now I have to reference this, which is now I can see it in my other screen, in order to get this silhouette in here. So, presumably, I am going to actually use the freehand path tool. Let me just draw this. Okay, fine. All right, so Sulky, Vespar. For me, the way to do it is to actually draw the shapes. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is play around with my color situation on multiple levels. Okay, I would say that's really where I want to be. And I'm going to push probably the blue a bit. Actually, I might push the green a bit too. That feels pretty good. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is sample that color. Okay, and now by doing that, we're getting a real cheap solution here, friends, because I'm going to be able to animate this whole thing without having to actually draw or color Vespar. Okay. And we're going to move this out a little bit. So I kind of botched that. Okay, and this probably should be going in. So let me see what this feels like. Okay, I want to tween that. Okay, so now we're going to go here. Slide that over a skosh. And turn on the skins. Okay, yeah, cool. So we're going from here to here. And I'm going to insert a keyframe in between so you can see what we need to do. All right? something like that. All right, let's just take a look and see how things are feeling. Look at that, it's perfect. Okay, this is like the quintessential economical animation. That's for sure. I get all excited because I like good results, quick and cheap. So hopefully nobody will take me to task for that. But sorry guys. Okay, God bless it. Well, that goes to show. That sucks. But I'm sorry, haven't done it in a long time. I will not be switching to the Vegas screen at all today, no matter what. We're done switching screens. Because that's happened. That right there was like one time too many in the last couple of years. I'm not switching back. So, what did I do? I used the freehand path tool to draw a shape, and then, which is this shape right here, and then I did Control M to use the curves to lighten it and also punch up the green and the blue a bit. Okay? That's what I did. That's what you guys missed. And then what I did was I used the liquefy tool to squish it over to here. I drew this frame and then used the onion skins to sit here in between the two like this, and see that I needed to draw a shape that was pretty much like that. So that's what you guys missed. So sorry about that. Okay, and I just drew that and nothing happened. Why is nothing happening? Oh, wait, that's the freehand path tool. What the heck? What is, I don't even know what that icon does. What is that? You guys know? What the heck is that? Is it lock it or something? No, that's locking it. That's weird. How embarrassing. So anyway, that's what I did. I drew this shape right here, and there we go. That's basically what got me there. Now I like this one that I did first a little bit better, so I'm going to drag that back to there. And now this is what you guys missed. Okay? Lock alpha. Oh yeah, right, duh. No, this is lock alpha. Well, this locks the alpha relative to the other layers. Oh, inherit alpha versus lock alpha. Okay. Interesting. I don't think I've ever used lock alpha in Krita. That's kind of interesting. All right, so we are going to need a little bit more animation though, because we want to get Vespar's line of dialogue. So he says, managing troops. Okay, so managing troops, I would say for this, I'm just going to move it a little bit. Managing troops is just showing us down. And then right there, I'm totally winging it here, guys. But what I'm going to do is go a little bit more forward. Slowing us down. Okay, so, and I have no idea on the timing. Okay. So it is pretty subtle. I'm saving my work. And I'm actually going to render this. Because I might get lucky. It might just turn out perfect. This is I love shots like this, not just because it's economical, but it's also really good storytelling. You know, I mean, you're going from this shot here to this, you know. Very, very cool. All right, so he says, managing these troops is just slowing us down. Okay, this, I would say, managing these troops is just slowing. Okay, so this is too late. And it looks to me like it's kind of musical. There's a nice pace to it. So, managing these troops is just slowing us down. There we go. So render that, and we have actually completed 8 times, you know, almost a 4-second shot we've been able to complete in really fast. I don't know how long that took, but it really wasn't very long. So managing these troops is just slowing us down. Okay, now when he finishes his line of dialogue, whoops, you really need to cut away quick. Okay, so I'm going to run this one more time. These troops is just slowing us down. Yeah, you need to cut to Tobias quickly. So in point of fact, that was a 3 minute or 3 second and 16 frame shot. So 3.5 seconds ish. So, okay, good. That worked. Inherit alpha must be like clipping masks. Well, inherit alpha, that's what this is. It's what I use for shadows. So what it does is it's going to lock the alpha for the shadow layer to the color layer underneath. Well, actually all the layers underneath, but in practice you're talking about the ink and the color. So the alpha of these layers underneath it limits the shadows, so the shadows can only be seen inside of what the other layers already have on the screen. Lock alpha is going to be a little different. So I'm going to save this, and we're going to pop up a new scene here. So that I'm going to actually draw a shape like this, and then I'm going to put another layer above it with a different color. And now if we go lock alpha, you can see what that does. So now, I'm sorry, inherit alpha. Lock alpha, I assume, means, yep, okay, it's the same thing you have in Tahoma. Okay, so lock alpha locks the layers alpha relative to itself, whereas inherit alpha locks the layers alpha relative to the layers underneath it. Right? Got it, friends, got it. Okay, the next thing to happen is okay, this is hilarious. I'm getting quite a bit of leverage here because we just obviously this was economical, but the thing is, the next shot is I wanted to cut to Tobias, but it's still Vespar talking. Now, according to Ed Hooks' critique of Salt and Light, that's actually something I need to do more often. Now, in a perfect world, what you do is you'd animate Vespar starting to say the line, but then you'd cut to Tobias. We're gonna run it that way, I guess. Okay, so let's look at the pantheon of shots that we have. I'm using this shot. He already turned. I'm reusing 0304. Holy crow. Well, this is the good thing about dialogue is you do start getting a lot of leverage. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open 0304. Where the heck is it? These letters are so tiny that it's actually kind of hard to see. So I'll just do it the hard way. Episode 3, 0304, and this should be, is that the one I did in Tahoma? Oh, I hope not. Yes, it is. It's the one we split in half that was done in Tahoma. Okay, so we can run this in reverse. Okay, guys, at the risk of being a complete idiot, do I switch back here? I think I will. I'm going to switch back. Tom, I'm going to pay really close attention here. Because look at this. This is probably going to work. I'm going to reverse this. And he's going to say, we need a better plan. We need a better plan. Okay, the lip sync's all wrong. Yeah. So we don't need this. So I'm actually going to reconstitute this shot. Okay, so I'll show you how we're going to do this, guys. Now we're going to use Tahoma and Krita together to cheat. We are going to cheat. Now it's tempting here. Amar's got some stuff. The lock alpha locks the transparent pixel, right? So you have color, you can paint on those pixels. Right. You can't type on the transparent pixels. Hopefully it's clear. You know, if you got a character and you want to apply some airbrushing to it, maybe to put a gradient over the character, then obviously the locking the alpha could be a useful way to do that. So what we're going to do is I'm not going to actually use this shot that I ran in reverse. We're going to play with this a bit. First thing we're going to do is jump over to Tahoma and pull up 0304 because I like what I did there, and frankly everything we need for this shot is probably there. Okay, so the 0304, here it is. Okay, but we have to run it in reverse. Let's just check a couple things. I guess we should check the render. I'm sitting here. I'm like gonna hit F12 because I'm thinking Blender. Duh. Okay. So we need a better plan. Okay, let's lock the camera. Okay, actually look at this. This is quite remarkable. Think about this. If he's looking like this and he says, we need a better... Okay, so he'd come to here. We need a better plan. We need a better... So we don't want to get to this frame. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this right now is 0310. Okay? So File, Save Scene As. Okay, guys, so here's the thing. Here's the important thing you want to remember with Tahoma is if you're going to reuse a scene, you don't want to make changes in the frames that are in the one that you are reusing and renaming. Because when you save your work, those changes will be baked into those images, and then if you ever need to go back, in this case to shot number 0304, and reload it, all your images will be wrong. Okay? So I'm going to look here. Create a clipping mask. Hopefully it's clear without my speaking. If not, I can do a real... So you're showing about alpha locking or inheritance is probably one of the key reasons for flatting. It establishes what areas can be edited. Absolutely. And that's why using an erase layer in Krita is like a stupidly easy way to do it. Flatting on multiple layers makes it easier to change colors all at once. Yes. Yeah, I mean if you have... Right. I flat the base, and then you create the highlight, shadows, the hues, etc. Right. Okay, well, let's save this as 03-10. Save that. Okay, so any changes that we're going to make to the imagery, we must make either in new layers. We can rearrange stuff, which we're going to do. But we cannot, and by the way, I want to look here and see what this is. This is probably our color key, actually. We don't need this. So I'm going to delete that layer and immediately save my work. Control-Shift-S is save scene, by the way. Okay, so what I said was we want to make acting adjustments. So what I'm going to do is take this whole, well, you know what? Hang on a second. We've got layers that are all coordinated. So let's just move this down. We'll just move this down a few frames. Keep everything together. Obviously the lip sync's going to be changed anyway, but so my thought was this. I'm going to take these three, Control C, Control V. Okay, now I'm going to take these three and give him a four frame lead in, because we want to have a now that's an interesting point you guys are talking about in the chat. The idea of having a unified color theme that just has changes of hue or contrast or whatever in individual layers is a good way to work. It really is. It's like the idea of if you're painting a background, so it's not a bad idea at all to paint the whole thing in black and white, grayscale, and then add the color, because it's really quick to add the color, and you wind up with really unified color scheme, if you will. So I'm going to go from this to this. Okay, so I'm going to take this, Control C, Control V, and then what I wanted to do is get to this. I don't want to get to this. So Control C, Control V. So here's what he does. He says, we need a better plan. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take these frames. Actually, I'm going to hit Alt down arrow. Oh, come on now. Seriously? Okay, that worked. Okay, I'm just going to do this the hard way. I'm going to go Control C, Control V, and then we're going to land back here again. Control C, Control V. And then this can be stretched. Okay, like that. We're going to grab all this. What is this? Okay, hold on a second. I see something I think I like. He's angry here, but actually I'm wondering about this. Oh yeah, golly, this is so much better. All right, Control C. Okay, this has got too much road rage baked into it. And so I'm going to kill this because that's the lip sync and it needs to be deleted anyway. But this I definitely like better. So we're going to go here, and now we're going to delete all of this down here. We don't need any of that. Boom. Let's get back to here and just play this once. We need a better plan. We need a better plan. We need a better plan. Okay, this is a little bit short. We need a better plan. Yeah, this all happens too quick. So I'm going to go boom, 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 boom. We need a better plan. Yes, I like that. This looks great. Okay, save this. We'll save all. I haven't changed any of the drawings, so it's not going to harm shot number 0304. And now the only thing I need to do is I need to go to my output settings and, oh Lord, make sure I change this to be 0310. And then this is, and this is actually wrong anyway. This needs to be episode 03-10 / render, and then my image name is 0310. And 28 frames, we're going to go ahead and save it, and render it, I mean. Okay? I know back in the 90s and early 2000s in comics they made these quick layer masks with channel masks, but clipping masks are so much easier. Okay, well, all I can say is if you need them, use them. Go do something creative with it. That's what I say. So he says, this is the mouth, right? Yep. Okay, so here's the mouth. And presumably the mouth, I tell you what, we're going to delete this whole layer. Here's why. You got all these mouth shapes, and probably the mouth shapes were sort of baked into the positioning of Vespar's body because we didn't use the plastic tool or anything like that. So I'm really at risk of changing something in the mouth layer that it was perfect in the prior scene. That's stupid. We'll just redo the shot. And also, by the way, I'm going to delete this level as well, because if we're going to put a silhouette of Tobias in the shot, then that silhouette that I had there doesn't really work. Okay, we want to go to our scene cast panel and remove all unused levels. Okay, so this is apparently Tahoma's doing a better job than it used to of cleaning house. So that's fine. Okay, so now we need a new mouth shapes layer. And I'm just going to draw, hit the B key, and then erase that and go into the tighten up palette entry. That's a little bit large. So I'm going to go to here. He's showing a little bit of that that sort of Prince Zuko attitude from Avatar, actually. And I really have been, I'm trying to be careful not to make him too much like Zuko, since he's obviously a prince and he's kind of out after a quarry of some kind. So we need... Seriously? Okay. We need... And I'm going to turn on the skins. With lip sync, sometimes I'll turn on the skins just so I can make sure the mouth doesn't drift. We need and I'm actually trying to get back here to standard anime style lip sync. So Control C, Control V, and then, yeah, actually, I guess we'll want to put this in here. Control C, Control V. Now here we have a problem. So let's do a duplicate so that we can then just drag this over here. And this is going to be kind of like the other one. B key. So I'm definitely trying to favor Krita on this episode 3 for the most part. Actually, that was a mistake. Sorry, guys. But I did do this shot originally in Tahoma, and I don't want to be too disparaging of Tahoma. Sometimes it's the right tool for the job. Amar just retracted a comment. Oh my, he must have said something powerfully provocative. I'm kidding. I'm kidding around. Okay. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do, friends. I meant to do this so that I can then go over here, and this shot that we put in reverse just to see if it was kind of sort of going to work, we've gotten rid of. And you guys can't see this, but I am going to the folder 3-10 and I'm opening it up, 8 frames per second, and I'm going to smack it into my shell. Properties, disable resample, and now let me look at what I've got. Need a better plan. Okay, so now why did the mouth stop working? Well, there, it's pretty obvious why the mouth stopped working. You silly, silly goose. All right, so now what we need is we need Tobias in the foreground, obviously. So let's go to frame 1, and what we're going to do is we're going to do this like the... I'm actually not going to... Normally I would probably use... I'd probably use vectors, but you know what? I'm just going to keep rocking with my tighten up brush. And I'm going to turn this layer off so I can sort of see what I'm doing. Okay. And he's got kind of a lot of hair, and then he's got kind of broad shoulders, and he's, frankly, kind of a buff dude, Tobias is. So I'm just going to go like that. Okay, draw a guide across here. So I can kind of see what I'm doing. And so the reason I'm doing it this way is so that I'm not tempted to be too squirrely on the drawing. I want to actually sketch him in there, and then okay, now that's interesting. Huh? What happens if we go to normal mode? So I know what the problem is. Sorry guys, I forgot we got to close the shape. That was just silly of me. So F key, back into freehand mode. I didn't get around it. And there we go. Okay, so now we can take the B key and just kind of tighten this up. We're just going to draw a little bit of fuzziness in here. It's all good. And then we can turn this back on. Look at the clamping to the camera. And honestly, I'm inclined to think he actually should be a little bigger. Yeah. He's a big guy, Tobias is. Yep, I like that. And let's kind of move him closer to the rule of thirds here. And then let's move Vespar closer to the rule of thirds here. Now that introduces a problem that you guys can see that we're going to fix very easily by going into our state schematic. And we are going to make column 3 a child of Vespar. And we're also going to make column 4, which is his mouth, a child of Vespar. And as you can see, everything lines up again. And now we've managed to put our characters quite nicely on the rule of thirds. And we can hit, let's save our work and then hit Control-Shift-R. Hello? Okay. Thought I was going to get a crash there for half a second, guys. Okay, so let's look at these two shots. I'm going to fix this, by the way, that Tobias is too... Okay, yeah. So we got a couple things we got to fix. Number 1, we've got a flaw. Actually, let me look at this. Why did I see... Oh, I see. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Okay, go back to Tahoma. I was noticing this right here. So let's go to the tippy top here. B key. And we need to, fill tool. Okay, so that takes care of that. We can save that. I guess we'll save all. The silhouette color. Let's go here. Do we want to go dark, 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 or lighten it up a bit? I think in this case we want to go dark, dark, dark. So do we want to add just a little bit of tonality into it? Not red, by the way. Probably teal. I don't know. I think for me it actually feels best. I mean, I'll come slightly off of black, but in this case, I actually think just black for the silhouette looks best. Okay, so now we got to go back to Krita and pull up the last shot we did because I want to definitely tone down Tobias. Yep, so here's what we're going to do. We're just going to add a layer and we're going to alpha lock it. Speaking of alpha lock. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our airbrush and we're going to just smack this over Tobias like that. That feels about right. And then, if you're feeling particularly frisky, you could have extra fun by playing around with catching some of those glint highlights. But that's going to be too bright. So if I'm going to do it, let's call this gradient. Let's add another layer that's also alpha locked. I mean, it's so quick and easy to do this stuff, so why not, you know? So I'm just going to go ahead and catch this edge up here, kind of above and behind him. Oh boy, doesn't that look nice? That's going to be nice. I'm going to just okay. Okay, and then we'll just dial it in, baby. Okay, save our work, render that baby. What time is it? 7:04. Wow, been going for I'm pushing 2 hours, so it's really getting to be time to quit. All right, so let's see what we've got. Friends, that's the shot. So this is the shot we did yesterday. This one we stole from an earlier shot by running it in reverse. This one was really quick. So was this, because we did some reuse as well. And just now we added the gradient and the highlight here. Now, admittedly, this shot is a little bit bereft. It feels like it really needs a bit more, a little bit more foliage, I think. It needs something. You could argue that Vespar is framed improperly, and you would be right. So I'm going to take Vespar, go ahead and put him in a group, and then add a transform mask to the group, because what I want to do is essentially just make him larger and then push him over here. Now that's going to create a problem. Obviously, you guys can see what the problem is. But I do not want the skins on at this point. Let me just think about this for a second. Yeah, I wonder, I'm kind of wondering why that is like that, considering that it was off the screen. Let me go to here and look at what happens when I drag this. Okay. It actually is off screen. It's got some off screen pixels that are foibled. Okay, and there's more than one way to skin this one. I'm going to actually do the ridiculous thing, which is to actually add a corrective layer in erase mode, because I'm going layer crazy today. So why don't we just go ahead and really go layer crazy? Let's just do layers, layers, and more layers. Okay, so this is going to be Control Insert, and this actually doesn't need anything. This doesn't need anything. I guess that's fine. Okay, so as I said, we're going layer crazy. So this is going to be the What I'm doing is I'm putting this correction outside of the group that has the transform mask. That way I can actually take the transform mask into account with my corrections. Hope that makes sense. So control insert, so this is not going to take very long. We're just going to fix. Okay, and here I would say, here I think that this actually should be chiseled out. Hello? Why? Oh, I see, duh. Okay, fine. So this is actually the problem now. So we want to go in G and E. There we go. A little bit of a brain fart there. Okay, stop. I was in erase mode accidentally. That's my fault. Well, of course, everything that happens here is my fault. Okay. Transform mask is on. So yeah, we went a little layer crazy, didn't we? Okay, I see a problem. And what I'm wondering is, what layer, this actually makes me mad. What layer is not pinned to the timeline? Was that not pinned? It looks like it is pinned. I'm getting a little upset with Krita when Krita didn't actually do anything wrong. Okay, so here is okay. Patience, friends. Then right here, and I'm going to control insert. And I need to just kiss that back a little bit. Okay, let's look at it and see if everything's working. Right there. There is a piece missing. Yep, right there. Almost missed that one. Nope, I still missed it. Nope, it's here. There it is. Boy. Okay. Groovy. Control R. Okay, it seemed like there was something I was going to do that I forgot. But what are we doing here? Let's look at what we've got here. I gotta say, this looks pretty good to me. Okay, Amar, why do you have like 8 billion messages retracted? That's like weird. Save early, save often. Maybe some rim light on the silhouette. I don't know, dude. Yeah, okay, I see your point. Why not? We might as well. I'm going to alpha lock it and go. We're going to go insert. Boom, that quick. And now what we're going to do is go B with our nice brush. And we're just going to go like that. 1, 2, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work. We don't know, we don't care. The whole thing to try is going to take us about 90 seconds. So why not make the effort, right? Good suggestion, Tom. Obviously, the contrast is way stupidly high. But we'll see. All right. I'm actually going to put a little smack right there, too. Okay, so now Interesting. I don't like that right there. I do not like that. So we'll leave that out. I don't think that was effective. Alright. Render it, and we'll just kind of see what it looks like in the show. Oh, decided not to upload it. Added the updated version on your comments, removing some keys and changing some timing. Also uploaded the fan art for what I'm using for this sample animation. It looks to me like you've been quite busy with uploading stuff. Okay, guys, I think we're done here. Let's find out. Looks good. Absolutely fantastic. I like it. I like it, guys. This storytelling, it's all about the storytelling, you know? Am I right? It's just, it feels good. It just freaking feels good. So we are a minute and 4 seconds into episode 3, which is kind of remarkable. Kind of remarkable because that was the Tahoma shot right there, for those who are keeping score. And now here we're back to Krita. There you go, guys. Whoops. That's not what I meant to do. Sorry. So I think we're in good stead. So Ross, by the way, for you, were you preferring? Okay, guys, I should actually say this. I wish I'd have said it earlier when there were like 7 or 8 people here instead of 5. But Nagut 40, who is in the chat, Ross Payne, is quite an accomplished animator for those who don't know, and so we've been talking about having him guest via Zoom call on a live stream this weekend, and just a lot of fun. I think it'd be I actually, honestly, Ross, I want to pick your brain a little bit about some of your. I really would like to kind of interview you a little bit, not just have you as a guest, you know, commenting on whatever work I'm doing, but get a little story on your history, your educational background. You might want to have a couple. I'm sure you know how to share your desktop with Krita, so you might want to have your some of your animation. I mean, obviously, I could get something off Discord too, but just something so people can see what you do. And but yeah, just picking your brain on, you know, how you've learned and what you've learned and the techniques that you employ, I think would be a lot of fun. And so the question is, were you thinking, because Friday evening for me is Saturday morning for you, because Ross is in New Zealand. So yeah, have stuff to share, absolutely. Do you want to do Friday, Saturday, or do you want to do Saturday, Sunday? Which day do you prefer? And then I will set up the Zoom call and probably announce it, like I'm thinking probably tomorrow. And then, so you tell me, do you want it to be my Friday night and your Saturday morning, or your Sunday morning and my Saturday night? Saturday, Sunday? Okay, cool. I will plan on that. That works for me. And so with that, you guys, I would say I am DUN done. It's been a very productive evening, and thanks for hanging out. Um, does okay, my 7 p.m. Yes, that works for me. Um, Based on your suggestion, Dave, the animation plays a lot better for Asher. Okay, well, guys, Amar posted this, so I'm going to go ahead and see what we've got here. Okay, I'm seeing on the Discord the inked version of Asher, so I am not seeing another update. Am I looking in the wrong place, Amar? It doesn't look. If you posted something, you didn't post it in the same place as the. Um. Unless you did, you replace it? No, he says use the update. Yeah, that's at 10 a.m. today. So where did you post it? The Amar, where did you post the? It's under pencil tests. Okay. I'm looking in the direct messages. I'm sorry. Okay, let's go here. Let's go to pencil tests. Okay. So now here on the Discord, I'm just going to kind of show it directly here as opposed to downloading it and whatnot. But okay, so you remove some of the frames to see if it plays better. Let's see what we got. Okay. Play it again. It's better. I think it's better. You're still packing a lot of motion into a short time frame, that's for sure. I would not have Mel, for example. Like, in other words, right there. Darn it. Gotta find the spot. So this sheepish pose right here, this is just my opinion. You can do what you want, obviously, but for him to move into this sheepish frame like that right there, I don't see the point of that. You got such little time here, but this is just my taste. So I would not have him move into that frame. Meaning body position. I would have the thing start with Mel in that position already, and then he reacts from there. So that's my 2 cents worth on that. And now let's see. And this is, yes, I remember this. Yes. So this is fan art that Amar did oodles and oodles of moons ago, based on, obviously some of the art I did for the show. So anyway, okay, that's it, guys. Thanks for hanging out. And as you guys know, there will be more.